All right, Kyle. Cale Makar suspended for a single game. Why that's a load of crap coming up right now. Locked on Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thanks for making this your first listen of the day. Make sure to follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe. Get notified when a new show goes live, and why not subscribe to our subtext as well? Link to that in the show notes below, where you can converse with Kyle and I one-on-one. All right, man. So we're gonna dive into this. We didn't do the show we didn't record the show last night because went into overtime. It got a little bit late, so we're like, let's just do it when we're fresh. And boy, has there been news since then.
Yeah, it's a slow news day.
Yeah, not much going on. Oh, except for that suspension that Cale Makar has faced. We'll get into the game, obviously. We have to do that. But we are definitely starting with Cale Makar receiving a one-game suspension. He will not be playing for the Avalanche in an all-important Game 5, with this series now tied at 2. And it's obviously the hit that's on Jared McCann. McCann got injured. And Department of Player Safety acted pretty swiftly with this. You heard in the morning he was going to have a hearing, and then in the afternoon he was given the one-game suspension. I have massive issues with this, which we will definitely get into, but I want to hear you first.
I love it. I love it that you have issues with it, because I kind of knew it was coming. One was surprising. Yeah. One I kind of was okay. I'm okay with it. I understand. I didn't want them to go more, because just the nature of it in the moment, I knew when it happened that it was going to be something.
Well, you knew it was going to be something when Department of Player Safety said there's going to be a hearing. When you get that terminology, usually there's a suspension coming. I thought maybe because it's the playoffs and because, a one-game suspension is equivalent to 3 in the playoff. You know what I mean? It just holds more weight for a suspension. Maybe just the hearing would just be, exactly that, get both sides, and then maybe a fine. But where I have problems with this, Kyle, is all over the place. Number one, initially you called the 5-minute major, and the reason why the 5-minute major was called is so they can go review it. That was the new rule for this year. If you call a 5-minute major, you can then review it and lower it if you wanted to. First of all, there wasn't even a penalty called on the play. If we want to go back even further, there was no penalty called. And then when McCann got injured, then they called it. I don't have a problem with any of that. I'm just bringing the full context here, right? And then you lower it to a 2-minute penalty for interference, which is the right call. And I find it, number one, hard to accept when the refs on the ice take a look at it and lower the infraction from a major to a minor, and then Department of Player Safety gets a hold of it and says, well, it was so egregious that the on-ice refs lowered it, and we're going to suspend you a game. That makes zero sense to me. There's more that I have, but I don't want to take up all the time. I want you to respond to that.
No, and when you phrase it that way, I completely understand not being cool with it. When the incident occurred, I knew it was going to be something, and we were not going to hear the end of it. When they walked it back, I kind of figured, well, that was it. Kind of went through unscathed. And when the suspension dropped, it honestly matched, because you had the Nieto boarding that kind of wasn't called at the time. Things were getting chippy up into that moment. And then the puck not being really in play, and then Cale doing that, and McCann hitting the boards. I felt like, one, it's very uncharacteristic for Cale Makar to do that. I did not like a single bit of it. And especially, we'll get to it with the game breakdown, just the undisciplined nature the Avalanche took is what ended up costing them the game. So, and we talked about in the episode before, like you have to clean that up. And for Cale Makar to be the one to do something this egregious, and now you're putting the team in a bind, getting yourself suspended on something that really should not have happened.
Well, that's the other part of it is, when you really look at the play, and Makar even said it afterwards, he thought the puck was still in play. So he is continuing to play because he has not heard a whistle. And I've said it multiple times on Twitter. That's sports 101.
Yeah.
Is you play to hear a whistle, and he's trailing the play. McCann is tracking the puck easier because he's the one in control of the puck, and he knows the puck went into the netting. So he pulls up a little bit. Makar doesn't know, and you can clearly see he doesn't know because he looks to the left.
Yeah.
He looks to the left and kind of looks back to McCann, and McCann is going in the same direction he is when they peel away. So he checks him. And if you watch the Department of Player Safety video, they say that McCann is not in a position to be checked. He's beyond the point of being checked. Well, you know what that is? That's interference. That's what you called on the ice. So you got the call right. And if you look at the play, Makar clearly doesn't know the puck went into the netting, so he continues to play. Now, if there was a whistle, and I'm not blaming the refs, like it happened so quickly that, the refs, I'm not saying the refs were late on blowing the whistle. It was just so quick between when the puck went into the net, McCann took the shot, and he was hit, that Makar is thinking that the play is still there. He hasn't heard a whistle, so he checks him hard. And McCann knows it went into the netting, so he's up, and he doesn't have time to break for the hit. And then you get that. It's an unfortunate event. And to get a suspension for this, and this is the last point for me on this, is how many times when something goes to Department of Player Safety, is it, well, here comes the Wheel of Fortune wheel. The inconsistency with how they levy suspensions and fines is laughable. Yeah. And it's the laughing stock of sports. It has to be, for people who pay attention. Because where's the line? If the line is the player got injured because of the result of the play, and we knew a suspension was coming, and like we saw that happen, we're like, okay, McCann got injured. There's a suspension coming. I don't think I would be as angry as I am right now, but I can come up with a laundry list of plays where a player has gotten injured, and I'll start with Cale Makar himself getting injured and nothing happening. Zero. And I think Dallas Stars fans are sitting here right now with their hands up in the air being like, Matt Dumba? Nothing? Like not even a hearing for that. And I don't have a problem with the Matt Dumba hit, but Pavelski's injured because of it. And nothing comes of that.
And it's funny, a year removed from the Nazem Kadri Jordan Bennington situation, we get this, a Cale Makar hit and a suspension. But if Jared McCann wasn't leading the Kraken in goals, and if he came right back to the game, I don't think there would have been a hearing. But I feel like the Department of Player Safety decided to make a statement that really should not have been made. I was fine with the call. I was fine, honestly, with anything. It could not be something that could be wiped off the board because it was egregious and just silly in the moment.
It happened. Like you can see both the anger of both sides of the fan bases. I can completely understand why the Kraken fan base is upset that McCann got injured. And we can have that discussion, but man, like a suspension for this, and simply because, like I said, you can come up with a ton of moments where you're like, that's suspendable, and nothing happens. And this is what you're going to hang your hat on. It's kind of laughable. It's laughable. And I don't get it.
Yeah. That's Department of Player Safety.
It really is. It really is. All right. Let's hear from the Game Time app, and then we'll get into this game. The Avalanche are in a fight right now. There's no denying that. So let's hear from Game Time and then discuss that. So buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful, and Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun that you are about to have. And what are some things that we love about the Game Time app experience, where they have flash deals and last-minute tickets? Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. They obviously have a lowest price guarantee with event cancellation protection. And obviously, the one thing that Kyle and I love more than anything is the point of view from your seats. Your image of these seat views is key.
It's the best.
It's clutch.
Literally the best.
So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, create the account and redeem code of LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so let's get into this game. Obviously, the Avs lose this thing in overtime. Another game where they come out. It's a combination of they come out flat and the Kraken can come out flying.
Yeah.
So that is a trend now. Like, that has happened in every single game. And the Avalanche really need to turn that around. They can. You can't go out now in game 5 and just say, like, go through the motions and expect the Kraken to do the same. The Kraken are clearly coming out with a lot of energy and wanting to set the tone. And the Avalanche are just on their heels, and it's taking them 30 minutes of game time to really start digging in. But by that time, you're obviously down. In this game, you were down by 2 goals. So the Avalanche need to stop that, like, now, not as soon as possible, like now. Puck drop, even without Cale Makar, without Val Nichushkin, without Darren Helm, obviously Gabe Landeskog, like, it doesn't matter. You have the guys you have on the ice. You need to be the ones to set the tone, especially at home for game 5.
Yeah, and we talked about this a couple times. Like, all the everydayers that listen to the show, they knew, like we mentioned, this is going to be the best effort that Seattle's going to put out. And you got it. And we mentioned, hey, you have to clean up the penalties because that's a problem. We just spent this first segment talking about a penalty, and I'm sure we're about to address another one in just a minute. But you're putting yourself, you come out flat, you're building momentum, but putting yourself back with these stupid penalties.
They are, man.
And then you expect to just win games when you finally wake up. You can make this so much easier on yourself. And I get, like, very aggravated with people throwing their hands up saying, like, this Avs team doesn't have it. They're just no good. They can't keep doing this. This team just won the Central. We were having a parade about how incredible, with everything that happened through the regular season, what this team put together and where they are, top of the Central. This is still a good team.
Yeah.
But they need to start playing like a good team, not just walk in as the good team. They have to. This is playoff hockey. You're running out of chances.
Yeah, I mean, the Kraken are not just rolling over.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, they made the playoffs. They're a 100-point team. Like, they're not just happy to be there. And, hey, we're just playing with house money. And so if we get swept or we win a game, hey, that's good. Like, they're out there to win it. And if you haven't noticed that by now, and I'm, the Avalanche have, I'm just, throwing out phrases here, but, like, you have to recognize that. You have to come out and match their energy.
Yeah.
And the Avalanche just have not done that. And that's kind of surprising. Fine. If it happened in game 1, okay. And we sit here, and you mentioned the everydayers. They know that, we talk all the time about how the Avalanche rarely have back-to-back duds. And for game 1 and game 2, it was, a period and a few minutes of that second game. And at that point, I'm like, man, like, what is this team doing?
Yeah.
Snap out of it, guys. And they did. And they did, right? So then you kind of expect, okay, because this is a playoff series, you're going up against the same team over and over again. That won't happen. But for some reason, that is happening.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Val Nichushkin stuff, whatever is going on with them, it is kind of in the back of their mind because, they're missing one of their teammates. But once you hit the ice, that's where the focus needs to be. And I just don't like seeing this Avalanche team needing a period to say like, okay, like now let's start playing our game. It's kind of like disheartening and upsetting to really see that, because this team is better than that. And if they can be the ones to establish the dominance and they can be the ones to really set the tone, then you're making the Kraken play from behind. And you haven't done that yet. You've given up the first goal in every single game. So it's kind of like a backwards method that the Avalanche are playing right now. It's 2-2, so we can't be too upset about it. But start imposing your will from the beginning.
And Seattle was one of those teams that I said was the only team out of the West that scares me, and it's for this reason alone, because Seattle's fast. They have gritty defense. The goalie, like Grubauer, where have you been, my friend? Like, this is incredible play out of Grubauer, but they match up so well with Colorado, and you can't expect to beat teams this way. Seattle has nothing to lose. Everything from this point forward, win or loss, if they go all the way to the final, or if they never lose never win another game, it's just a good story for Seattle. That's all it is. This is the defending Stanley Cup champions, and what do they do a year after the Cup? The Avalanche have a lot more to lose, and they need to start playing like it.
Yeah. And you mentioned that, the penalties are just like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is not their MO, is to take stupid penalties like this. And you're seeing it up and down the game. I don't know, like the physical nature. I remember how we thought this was not going to be a super physical game. That's out the window.
Yep.
That first period was for your, people who only tune into hockey in the playoffs. Maybe they enjoyed that, but that's not what I want to see.
No.
And things did settle down after the first. I mean, you still had a very physical game, but you didn't, and you still were, they were still scrumming it up after every stoppage. That's normal. But it seemed like in the first, both teams were trying to get in one another's heads and really kind of poking the bear, so to speak. So, which is out of the realm of, I feel like, both of these teams. I can't speak so much for the Kraken, but definitely for the Avalanche.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird to see. So,
you're seeing this come out of everybody but Mikko, which is also weird.
No, well, because Mikko yells at the refs.
Yeah, true.
He's not going to yell at, well, I mean, he will get it. He will mix it up, but he's more concerned about the refs. So, I was looking at the stats here, and kind of just to continue with that theme of it being physical. The hits in this game, 37 for the Avalanche, 52 for Seattle. Now, not going to sit here and cry foul or anything like that, but 52 hits, and how many? Let's see. The Avalanche only had 3 power plays. They finally did score on one.
And I'm counting right now. You have given the Seattle Kraken 16 opportunities in this series on the power play.
And they've scored 3 times, I believe.
Yeah,
they scored 2 in this game, and they scored 1 in the last game, which was kind of like a throw. That's one where McKinnon was angry, and the game was pretty much in hand, and they scored 1 on that. So.
It's one of those that we mentioned, like, if you come out with this flat start and you're having to gain momentum, if you're giving the other team, who has clearly got more fire and physicality, 16 extra opportunities to grind you down, you are not doing yourself any favors. And this would be fine if this was, oh, that's hockey, baby. No, these are just stupid slashing, just undisciplined penalties. Like, there's such things as good penalties, and I haven't seen one.
And how we're talking, like, the Avalanche have to stop playing from behind. All 5 of the power plays for the Kraken were in the first period. All 5 of them. Technically, okay, there's a little bit of a caveat there, because somehow, some way, Logan O'Connor got a penalty called with 0 seconds left in the first, and everybody on the ice is throwing haymakers, and then nobody knew it until the second period starts up, and the announcers are like, "Oh, the Kraken are starting on the power play," and you're like, "What?" I just
It's like the putting a runner on second in extra innings in baseball now. It's like, okay, sure. I guess this is the rule.
I just didn't get it because everybody was mixing it up.
Yeah.
And they singled him out for all that somehow, some way. I don't know. I don't feel like the refs didn't have the game under control, but I feel like they missed a ton.
Yeah.
They missed a lot. And I know you can't be just calling penalties left and right, but when there's some egregious ones, especially I thought Evan Rodriguez was just getting mauled all game long, and including a blatant cross check well after the play was over, and they just let that go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was a rough game, and I'm not making excuses, right? The Avalanche struggled for a lot of this game. It was good that they were you like the fight in them to draw even.
You like the fight in Mikko.
Yeah, I mean, because he's the one that had the 2 goals, but I don't know. You had opportunities right at the end of the third. I think it was Cogliano had right in the house, nobody in front of him, and Grubauer saved it, and then Comfer had a chance moments later, point blank range, and he missed it. So you had chances despite Seattle really outplaying you in this game to win it. And now you're going to have to really fight. You have to, I'm just saying, like, how they have to come out. You have no choice.
Yeah.
Because you're down. Seattle's going to want to pounce with you down, Cale Makar and obviously Nichushkin. They're going to want to, how they have been setting the tone, they're going to want to do that hand over fist in this game. And you cannot let that get out of hand too quickly.
And then with the absence of Cale Makar, it just puts the magnifying glass right on Josh Manson, who has been clearly the one that that's been putting us back. Like, love Josh Manson as a human being, but some of the decision making he's been putting out there on the ice has been a detriment. So you're going to be asking more out of Josh Manson unless they're bringing Jack Johnson back. I don't know what they're going to do there, but
probably or Hunt, maybe. I don't know what they're going to do, but yeah, I mean, Josh Manson you like him as a human being. I like him as a player. I just feel like he's getting caught up in the moment.
Very much so.
I think he's getting, and when you do that, you make stupid mistakes. And then even the play that won it, or not won it, but gave Seattle the power play, he was just out of position. He's on the right side. If you're backing up, he's on the right side of the ice, and his entire attention is to the left side of this, and completely losing his man. And who got 2 strides on him. And Manson is a heavy skater. He is not fleet of foot. So I mean, you could see it happening on screen. I don't remember who it was in the crack, but he's flying up the ice, and he got behind Manson.
Oh, that was hold on.
I don't know who it was. Whoever. I mean, just look.
Jordan Eberle.
Was it Eberle?
Yeah.
As soon as he got behind him, you're just like, he doesn't have it's not even closing speed, because there was really no. I mean, there was open ice for him, but not enough to close the gap.
Yeah.
And he takes a penalty, which you kind of have to do at that point just to save a potential goal. And you're even going into it saying like, all right, well, they've been killing off penalties for the most part. So you didn't think it was just a slam dunk, and even the goal that they got was just puck luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who was it? It wasn't Larson. Eberle scored the last goal. Kind of is trying to center it. He's trying to center the puck, and it just goes. He went either off Makar or whoever went off of, and just goes right back to him.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an excuse me goal, but hey, a goal's a goal, whatever.
And this is one of the rare instances that you felt like you were outshot, and they were outshot by 21.
Yes, 21. Yep.
It felt like the ice was tilted all night. The home ice advantage definitely helped Seattle, which Colorado's about to experience. That'll be nice. But for the defensive woes that are going on, the depth, I cannot say this any clearer in any more HD audio than I possibly can right now. the depth must step up.
Yeah, they have to. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts about that, man. Like you had Miko with those the one goal, especially. Wow,
Oh,
fantastic puck handling, fantastic. I don't think I've ever said fantastic wrist strength on any of these episodes we've ever done, but it was just that one-handed, and he just moved it over to the forehand, the backhand, like that. That was skill. That was
yeah.
skill on display.
And
But
his
you can't just rely on that. You need everybody. You have to have
Exactly.
everybody. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's exactly what I was about to say. You can't have those nights where you're channeling it through one guy. When Seattle is playing with that extra fire, and every player on Seattle could break you.
Yeah. And we haven't really talked about the goalie position all that much, but again, I thought Georgiev was good.
Yep.
But he's coming up with the saves when they're down. And I don't want to say he's coming up with the saves when they need him to, because that also is true for the goals that he's giving up.
Yep.
He needs to save those ones too, even though they're not completely his fault. But whatever, they're getting down and he's not letting it get worse. So I feel like he's doing well. He is playing well, but just like you say, play the full 60. You can kind of gear that towards him too with the early goals. Let's stop those and then continue you play how you've been playing, and the Avs have more of a chance.
Let's make Georgiev our closing goalie, and we'll have Frankie be the starter, and he'll just play the first period, and we swap him out.
Sure, why not? Hey, I don't know. You're going to need all hands on deck for this game. You are, not because I feel like the Kraken are just a better team than you. They're playing better than you right now.
Yep.
And now behind, with Makar not being there, and then all the other guys that we said are going to be there, this is going to be a dogfight. This is not going to be, a 6-1 or 6-2 blowout. I would be shocked if that happens. But you need to keep this thing low scoring and get some, and when you have opportunities, bury them.
Yep. Because
it just seemed like you're not getting a ton of them in that last game. And it was a struggle to create some good scoring chances. As the game went on, this seems to be the MO of this series. Seattle sets the tone, gets up, Avalanche correct things, they start taking over, and then you have a game. Is that what's going to happen again in game 5? It seems to be that way with the roster that the Avs have right now. So.
Yeah, they have to get out early, especially at home, and finally take a game in this series where they go wire to wire in control.
Oh, you there? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, bud.
I had a little glitch in the matrix on my end, so
it's what we get for speaking negatively about the Avalanche.
My anger is going into my internet connection, and Wreck-It Ralph is over there, and he's not happy with me, so he's pulling my internet.
I mean, Boston dropped a game to Florida, and you don't see Boston fans losing their mind. This is the playoffs. This is expected. This is going to happen. There are no easy games. We got spoiled last year, but this is more what it's supposed to be night in, night out.
You're 100% right there. Let's wrap things up with our sound check. Kyle and I pick one song each that we feel best summarizes the most recent game. Put these songs up on a playlist over on Spotify. Load up the app, search for LOA Sound Check Volume number 2. Follow along with that. So what do you got for this one?
Well, the time has finally come. One of the bands that need more notoriety in this day and age. My song for that game, My Own Prison by Creed.
How poetic is that? We were talking about Creed, I think, on the last episode, right?
Yep.
And how they are one of your
we have
enjoyable bands that some people just love to rag on, but shameless enjoyment there.
Really love Alter Bridge too, but
Alter Bridge is fantastic.
But My Own Prison, I mean, you've given Seattle 16 chances to put you in your own little 5x10 prison on the side of the ice. Like, you're doing this to yourself. If you were doing a full Avalanche game, we would not be having these issues and we would not be having these troubles. Get back to Avalanche hockey and get yourself out of your own prison.
I love it. Well said. I'm going to when you get angry and frustrated, sometimes you just need to listen to something that, put yourself in a padded room and just go crazy. to get all that anger and aggression out. So therefore, and it's, kind of conducive to this series and what game 5 is going to be like. So I went with Non-Point,
Ooh.
and the song is There's Gonna Be a War.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's what's gonna, like, you have two angry this like we said earlier, this series has taken a turn. And I'm not getting to the point where these guys are rivals, but this is playoff hockey. You don't like your opponent in playoff hockey. And when it's over, you're going to go through the line and you're going to shake their hand and say good series. But for this right now, this thing has taken a turn into a nasty territory. And the Cale Makar thing is going to linger around for the duration of this series, even when he comes back. Clearly, because when he comes back, that's in Seattle.
Yep.
So this has turned into an on ice war. So that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, this has it has the feeling of being a dark horse rivalry between the two teams. Like, this has not been comfortable for the Avs, and they are not going to look favorably on Seattle. And anything Colorado does here is going to be the first playoff experience for Seattle.
Mhm.
They will remember this in the offseason, and they will adjust for the Avalanche, and they will remember it next time we play.
Absolutely. All right. Strap in. It's going to be a fun one. So Kyle and I will be back to discuss that game and ever that ends. Hopefully it doesn't go to overtime again. Until then, thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. We really appreciate that. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll catch you guys later.